Sandy says read, and welcome to the channel. Take two. All right, you guys, this afternoon we are hoping to do the L tag. We are continuing with the alphabet tag, which was started at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. I will put a link to his channel in the drop-down box below because I highly recommend checking him out, looking at the cool stuff that he does with books. For today, though, we are going to concentrate and focus and try to get through this. You guys have had a week, a very full week of all the things, including weirdness with my voice. I'll just go ahead and share with you, and I'll put timestamps so you can skip this if you want to skip this. I had something weird going on with my throat this week. It felt like someone had taken a rock and like lodged it in the left side of my throat. Yeah, fun times. Yeah, so I don't know, it's like losing my voice and then getting it back and losing it again, getting it back. But I think we're doing well today. We're going to power through this. It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. I've got my warm tea here beside me to help us get through. It'll be wonderful. You guys, this tag, this channel is brought to you by me. I am the sponsor at this time. So I invite you to check out my merch shop. I have a Spreadshirt shop. I will put the link to that in the drop-down box below. And at that shop, you can find bookish items with cool sayings like this t-shirt. Some days you just want the dragon to win. I also have fun stickers. You guys have got all kinds of stuff over there at the shop. Check it out. Some of the stuff is bookish related. Some of the stuff is dragon related. I've put 3 new designs in the shop this month during the month of March. So check it out. See if there's anything you like. Support me. That's it. Commercial is over. Let's begin with the L tag. And we're going to do these kind of sort of out of order. Because why not, right? We're random here. We are fun. We'll begin with the first one. L is for Louis L'Amour. And let's see, what is your favorite of the Louis L'Amour novels? You guys, I don't know if I've ever read one of Louis L'Amour's novels. I've read a couple of Westerns in my past, but I don't know if his are in that. I don't know. So I'm going to skip this question and move on to the next one. Prompt 2, L is for love. What is your fave literary love story? We're going to save that for the end. Okay. Prompt number 3. We're cruising right along. L is for like. Have you liked this video yet? Give it a thumbs up because you know it's only going to go up from here. Next prompt. L is for language. Have you any books in a language you can't read? Sort of, kind of. Okay, so here's story time. You guys, back in high school, I took 2 years of Spanish. And then in college, I took 2 years of Spanish. And I now can sort of, kind of read. Well, I can read Spanish and sort of, kind of understand it. I can read it quite fluently. I have an awesome Spanish accent because when I was an infant, my mom and I went over to Mallorca and lived with my dad on the Air Force Base. Were we on the base? Or did we? I obviously don't remember that, but we went over there when I was an infant, and I was hearing the language as an infant. So, you know, all those boxes in your brain for language, those were all open in my brain. So I was hearing that language and hearing the flow and the accent and the cadence, right? So when I got to high school and had to take Spanish we had to take one of 3 languages. There were 3 available to us. I chose Spanish. Since I had to take Spanish, I heard that again, and my brain just went click. We recognize that accent. We recognize that flow. And so I was able to speak with that accent. Barely had any idea what I was saying. I had some trouble with, learning it. Though I'll tell you something, by learning conjugation of verbs in Spanish, I understood conjugation of verbs in English so much better. By learning Spanish stuff, it's like I understood English stuff so much better. It's like it all clicked. It all started coming together. The book that I cannot read very well is the Holy Bible in Spanish. I purchased this, after I was out of college and and adult. So this book, it has the English and Spanish side by side so that you can read either one or both. And I did that because I was trying to stay, I guess, current, trying to stay fluent with my link. Can you see that? Can kind of see that like one column is the English and one column is the Spanish. You understand the concept? Yeah. So this is the, I guess, foreign language book that I have in the house that I can't read, but I kind of can. Does that make sense? Probably not. Here you go. Anyway, story time continues. When I was in college and I was taking my second year of Spanish, the professor, wow, I remember, I mean, I can see him in my mind, but I can't remember his name. I can't remember what professor it was, but he would stand at the front of the room with his styrofoam coffee cup. And the rumor was that he had vodka in the cup with his coffee, like, you know, a little bit of coffee and vodka, right? But he would stand up there and he would make us all like perform our Spanish. Like as we were speaking to him in Spanish, we would have to perform what we were saying. For example, and I remember this clearly, I had to recite the Spanish alphabet as if it was a tragic love poem. Yeah, I remember this so clearly because I was so embarrassed having to do this, but everyone in class had to do something weird. So we all felt sorry for each other when it was our turn. So I had to do the Spanish alphabet. So not just A, B, C, Che. No. It was A, B, C, Che. I mean, I had to recite the alphabet like it was a tragic love poem. Yeah. But if I wanted to get my participation points for the day, yeah, you played along with the guy. He had us read that semester what we did in class. We read a Spanish romance novel. That's what we did to learn Spanish that semester. So as you can imagine, my Spanish is not that great. I can read it. I can sound like I know what I'm saying, but I don't. Okay. Next on the list, the next prompt is L is for lingo. Hang on. Oh yeah. Are there any words in other languages that have no equivalent in English? I'm sure there's many, but I really like the word afsneven. That's an old English word that I don't think has a direct translation anymore. And you guys out there, scholars out there, can correct me if I've got that wrong, but I don't believe it has like a direct translation any longer, afsneven. And let us consult the text. I brought Beowulf over here because there's a glossary at the back. And I looked this up before I started. Like I prepared, right? I looked this up before I started, and afsneven isn't in the glossary. I mean, not every single Old English word is in the Beowulf glossary, right? I couldn't find it. I looked online. I looked in one of my other Old English, works up there. I couldn't find afsneven. What I remember from my college days, which was, a hot minute ago, was that it's one of the many ways that the Old English would express how to kill someone with a sword. But there's many ways, like afstikken, like to stab, right? But afsneven, I think, was to kill someone by slicing off their head with a sword. And behead, you can behead someone. So that's, I guess would be a direct translation, but I don't know. You guys out there who are scholars, who still are well-versed in your Old English, tell me the direct translation for afsneven. And does it have, is behead the simple translation for it? Or is it more complex than that? But when consulting the text, I found afslayen, which I really like that one too. Afslayen means to slay. You can hear it in there, afslayen, to slay or to kill. I like that one as well. The Old English were they could be quite violent. There was a lot of slaying of kings going on in Old English times. Okay, there we go. There's our prompt for L is for lingo. The next prompt is L is for literary fiction. What is your understanding of the term literary fiction? And honestly, you guys, I kind of look at literary fiction as the catch-all fiction. You know, if you're trying to group works of fiction into like genre fiction or women's fiction or, you know, blah, 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 then literary fiction, in my mind, is like the catch-all for all the works that don't fit into other categories. You know, like there's science fiction and there's fantasy and there's, you know, women's fiction and there's chick lit and there's all these different, yeah, in my mind, literary fiction just kind of catches everything that doesn't fit everywhere else. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way. There's obviously literary fiction is wonderful. It's good. Should I move on? Let's move on. All right. The next one is L is for Lolita. Have you read it? What did you think of it? I haven't read it. It's on the shelf over there with some other classics, but I haven't read it yet. L is for London. What is your favorite book set in London? I have no idea. I didn't prepare that much. Moving on. L is for librarian. Do you have a favorite librarian? I don't think so. L is for last. What is the last book you read? The last book I read and finished is Stargate SG-1 Four Dragons by Diana Drew Botsford. And I'm actually going to film the review for that after I finish this. If my voice lasts, if I can make it through, I'm going to do that. That's the last book I finished reading. I've got 2 that I'm working on right now. But yeah, that's the last book I finished. And I liked it. It was fun. It was like a palate cleanser. Yeah, it was a fun, fan fiction, good, just fun thing to do. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back up here to the second prompt, which was L is for love. I wanted to spend a minute on this prompt because I almost decided to just do the L tag on that word completely and entirely. I wanted to just focus on love because you guys, this may seem a little bit corny and silly, but right now our world could use a little more love, right? But let's start by answering the prompt. The prompt is, what is your favorite literary love story? And I'm kind of like the tragic love poem that I had to do, in Spanish class. I kind of like my love with a side of tragedy, right? Troilus and Cressida, the Chaucer version of Troilus and Cressida. I really like that love story because it's just so, heart-wrenching, and poor Troilus has to just, lay around feeling sorry for himself because he thinks his girl went off and found someone else. Romeo and Juliet. I really like that love story. Oh my gosh. I love the tragedy of it, the misinformation, the miscues, and then, just death and mayhem. Yeah. And the families having to come to terms with the fact that they were horrible to each other. And now their offspring are dead because they were horrible to each other. Yeah. I like that a lot. Dracula and Mina, that love story touches me. I love that. I mean, Dracula, in the movie, in the Francis Ford Coppola movie, Dracula tells her, I've traveled oceans of time to find you. That, it kind of gives me goosebumps just saying it, right? That's a wonderful love story. And it is tragic. And it is, when there's like couples that one of them dies in the end, I love that, right? Maybe I'm just sick and, twisted. I like that kind of love story. But I am also going to say that Nigel and Charisse, my characters in my series, those two, they have a love story for the ages. And true to form, yeah, there's twistedness to it. There's tragedy to it. I'm not going to give everything away about that, but yeah, I'm twisted. I'm an author you can't trust. But Nigel and Charisse, just those two, they make a literary love story that I love and enjoy and like to play with and dive into. And yeah. Okay, so the second half of this prompt, there goes my voice. The second half of this prompt I want to talk about is just the idea of love. And you guys, it's in our fiction, and we're talking about it through this tag. from, I guess, from the perspective of it being in fiction and it being in literature. But doggone it, right now, I mean, I'm recording this in March of 2024, and I sure would like to see more love and kindness and forgiveness and just goodness out there in the world. I would like to see more love among people out there. It would be so good if we stopped and thought about just loving one another instead of being so quick to hurt one another or being so quick to pounce on one another. For example, the examples that I've given or the answers that I've given to this tag, they're different than answers other people have given to this tag. But the answers other people have given are valid and good and fun to think about and fun to reflect on. I've enjoyed very much going through this alphabet tag and seeing the answers other people have given. Some of the other booktubers who have done these tags have very different opinions than I do on a lot of different things. They're still fun to listen to. They're still fun to interact with, to leave comments with, to banter with. It's still fun. I still love those people. I still love interacting. Human is still a good person to interact with, even if we don't have the same viewpoints, the same opinions, even if my answer about, I don't know, I don't think any of my answers were all that antagonistic. Well, Louis L'Amour. Okay, I don't believe I've read any of Louis L'Amour's books, but someone else out there who's read, all of them might be offended by the fact that I haven't read those yet. We can still get along. I can still love that person. That person can maybe be upset with me, but we can still get along. And that person can be really excited when I pick up a Louis L'Amour book and read it and get excited about it and talk about it on my channel later, right? Do you see where I'm coming from? I just think that love prompt, it could prompt us to be more loving to one another. I hope it does. Thumbs up for being more loving to one another. You guys, please subscribe to the channel for more love talk. Seriously, please subscribe to the channel. Please encourage your friends to subscribe to the channel because we talk about books here on this channel, books and bookish things and positivity and good stuff. I try to do it from a good place. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys.